And yes, we definitely give thanks. Life giver, keeper of life in all doings and all sayings, give thanks for your presence with us once again. And of course, you know, mystic vibration. Not only such, but the shock of the hour. And we are now going into the second episode in our series entitled, "And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man." And how mystic it is that we could consider all this in righteousness now. And even as I said, a subject that I think must be addressed. We can't duck from it and pretend we don't want to talk about this kind of stuff. It's key. Many of us say we're Bible believers, so it's key. And as I said yesterday, some of us will say, well, in the olden days, all of that was possible, but in this new modern New Testament age, you know, that's not how it is. Well, whatever excuse you may have, you know, don't just bring an excuse because the subject came up. Discuss it. It's a prime prophecy. But anyway, so as I said, we are looking at it from different angles to give it the full respect of the discussion, so we can definitely, you know, leave the discussion with a better understanding or comprehension of exactly what is being played out here. Now, I think more than anything in our previous program, the main thing I think we got out was the nature of the position in Isaiah chapter 3 of a people, the position of a people specifically in Isaiah chapter 3. And I think what I did, which maybe I didn't directly have to do at first, but what I did, I was aligning that people with my people. But before you align it with any people, you can surely see, without a shadow of a doubt, that it's talking about a people that has been robbed and spoiled. It is, pardon me, speaking about a people that has gone into captivity. And those who did not go into captivity have still gone into captivity in their own land. That's the type of people it is speaking of. So even if it is just the mythos, even if it is just the allegory, even if it is just the Anansi story, because all stories belong to Anansi, according to the Anansi philosophy, yet still, as we have spoken of before, allegory, mythos, and all of this esoteric symbolism stuff still plays out in reality. It is reality that the writers took to create this story and play and theatrical expression that will still, 360 itself again in physical form, in human beings and events and in history. This is how the science goes, and that's one of the main points that I have been trying to push, from even the symbolic writings down even into the cartoon series, that symbolism and mythos is not just symbolism and mythos. All these principles that never existed, your ma'at and your whatever, these principles do exist in human beings. Yeah, they're human beings that you could distinguish, that have trod amongst us and that will trod amongst us with the full essence of the ma'at in flesh, with the full essence of the asset in flesh, with the full essence of the anpo in flesh. So again, we cannot run from that. That whatever mythos, whatever allegory you may speak of, it was written to balance off that which has already happened or that which will eventually happen. And that's it. So once we can comprehend all of this, dealing with these holy books and these sacred writings, especially if we're looking for the theological comprehension of it, well, it's key to keep all of this in mind. So again, we're obviously reading a story of a people that has been robbed and spoiled. Everything, down to their name taken away, language taken away, their mighty man of war, and their judge and the chief, and the senators, and the high-ranking and the prudent ones, and the lecturers and the professors. They're nowhere to be found. They're all gone. And how mystic it is that this Isaiah chapter 3 telling this story is showing you that, through a result of all of this, so the nation now of these people, the nation that they belong to, has lost its full, sustenance, and its army, and everything is depleted. It's no more. It's there, but it's no more. You understand? And then, for some strange reason, the narrative of this subject goes straight into the daughters of Zion. So after highlighting that the nation is gone, and the nation is no more, and her flag is fallen, and all of that, her banners and her symbol of, sovereignty has disappeared. After explaining all of this, and then coming now to show what, hey, the king is no more there. There's no more prince, from the royal lineage, and, all the chief and the captain of 50 and the great generals, none of the great ones that we know about, our heroes that we revered through history, all of them are gone. Nobody that resembles any of the ancient ancestors, they're all gone. It's right there, Isaiah chapter 3. And then it goes into, just one time, the state of the daughter of Zion. What does that have to do with all of this? And it explains that the Lord is taking away certain things from her because she has gone away from him in her proudness and being very haughty. Isaiah 3, I'm sure we all read the same thing. So because of what she has done, because of her, stepping away from the commandments now, he's taking away the things that he despised. The earrings, the nose rings, the necklace, the mufflers, the bonnets, the wigs, the anklets, the sweet-smelling ointments and perfumes, and all the different things that was mentioned in Isaiah 3. And again, many people come to the defense of these things, but I'm not condemning nothing here. I'm just telling you what a scripture is saying. I'm just trying to let you understand. It doesn't have nothing to do with if you like them or not. The Lord of hosts in that book, the chief character of that book, he ain't with that. And he's saying now to the daughters, even if he changed after Jesus Christ, that ain't my point. At this specific time when Isaiah is speaking, the Lord of hosts is telling you that his royal woman has gone to nothing, mincing as she walks, mincing. All of her secret parts have been exposed. Come on, what are you talking about? Wanting eyes. What you talking about? And one of the things we highlighted in the previous program is that the Isaiah is saying, and in that day, and that day, I am saying, if we're dealing with prophecy and history, this is why I could say that, you know, even as a young child, as a young lad, the dress code of that time is the flip side of the dress code of this time, especially as it pertains to the feminine gender. That's just a realistic observation from where I am. I even went as far as to say maybe your neck of the woods may be different, but I'm sure that even if you may have to go further back in the past, you're going to find some time where the dress code was totally different than it is today. And it wasn't that long ago. Wasn't that long ago. Wasn't that long ago. No matter where I go, people still say, wait, you're the priest? I said, but you're a little boy, man, up to now. I said, wait, I still a little boy? Yeah. So that shows you that mean we just came around here. But I can never remember my great aunts. Nobody. I can't remember nobody in that time having no what you call it, no gemstone in their belly button. No, only gypsy dancers, you would see that in the old time movies. I can't remember no one with a nose ring in their nose and they have a chain following it going to the ear with an earring connected to the nose ring and a gold chain in between. I can't remember nobody moving like that. As I said, it's only Sunday time you may see, you know what I mean, grandmother put on her little dandan and, you know, a little thing in her ears and a little thing, a little shine thing and a little put on the old time ring and that's it. You know? And even they were going a little a little off track from maybe what their grandmother was doing. So I'm just saying that when it highlights now the time that this is taking place, I cannot see no other time than the time that we are living in right now, today. Mincing as she go. And all the aspects of the garments. And again, I must say, I have to say, I know ones would be listening, especially the sisters, and it's easy to be offended from the words of the Bible here. But it is just that. So we're just trying to add understanding to it. All right. So again, following that narrative, the impression that we're getting is that, so instead of a well-dressed hair, there's baldness. Instead of a well-dressed hair, there is baldness of the scalp. Let's meditate on that. Instead of sweet smelling, there is stink. And one of the things that it highlighted is that after saying all of that, all the brothers have fallen in war. All the brothers have fallen by the sword. And she shall sit in the dust, and she shall lament in her gates. Her gates shall lament and mourn. Her gates shall lament and mourn. She's crying. She's weeping. And she's not only crying and weeping, we have to keep the whole narrative in mind. There was a lot given for you to understand that for one reason or the other, she left the abode that she used to hold, her motherly, true sisterly abode, and has gone the way that was like a stink sent unto the Lord. As I said yesterday, when the woman would wear an anklet around, well, her ankle, the chain ankle around the ankle, it was considered, this is what I grew up hearing, it was considered the sign of a prostitute. And it's not to disrespect anyone who may be wearing that, but it's just to show you that your enemy, that some of us don't, want to believe we have, that the enemy who loves you not understands all of this and makes sure he dresses you in all the ways and forms to express your form in a way that is not pleasing in the eyes of nature. And again, I'm ready to hit it on all sides, because people will still jump, oh, in Africa we move like this and move like that. And again, I will repeat, in Africa we move like that and move like this is because we have a different mentality. Yes, again, I will repeat that on the walls of Kemet, you see the goddesses, the deity, the Neter, with their breasts out. And if you look good, you actually see their formation of the V4, the vagina and all of that. It's well expressed. It's well expressed. We're having a hike to Greencastle Hill for the 21st of December, international hike. I'm inviting you all. And you will see for yourself the phallic and the vulvar stone that align with each other on specific days when the sun is in perfect alignment. You'll see it. I'm sure you've seen it on some of the videos that we've done. So our sexual organs, our reproductive organs was never something that frightened us. We were never ashamed of them. So don't get me wrong at all. We were never ashamed of them. The form and the beauty of ourselves was never a problem. So don't get me wrong. We're dealing with a chemist here. We're dealing with a wizard that knows how to mix the portions together. Because sometimes, what is revealing, sometimes you are attracted more to what you don't see than to what you see. All right. So the designer of the clothes know what to reveal and what to conceal. Just enough, just a dash of, and a pinch of, and an ounce of, just enough to have you well confused in your mind. So I'm just saying that there is a way unto the Almighty, brother. There is a way, a decorum as they call it, a standard of morality that most of us, both male and female, have totally lost when it comes to our attire, straight up. And if you look at it in the religious sense, it will be considered, as I said, sinful unto the Most High. So again, according to that narrative, the Almighty wasn't pleased. And the daughters sat and they mourned and they cried. Because again, I think when you watch this and understand the natural nature of both male and female, that is what is being played out here. That is what is being played out here. There is a strength within the unity of a man and a woman. And the woman and the man, they complement each other. As I said previous night, there are things one do and the other don't do, and vice versa. And they both need each other for specific reasons. So it is obvious, and nature itself shows you that there is a certain level of strength that a woman literally gets from a man, again, that is a strong man, that is a God man. All of these brothers that fell in the battle, the man of war, the chief, the prudent man, the professor, and these things, and these terms don't just mean the way you may use them today. They mean what they mean. The man is a God. That is what I was making. That is why I was making the point that as a man is to be a God, naturally a God, naturally a God. So even the whole concept of an individual, as far as having more than one wife, I mean, just to have a wife, to have one wife alone, you need to be a god. And when I say need to, I mean, obviously you don't need to, but you need to. Huh? It takes wisdom, you know, man. Wise mind, a lot of wise mind to deal with this kind of stuff, to deal with the fullness of a union. A union. People say it takes wisdom to deal with a woman. The woman already is the wisdom, as the Bible says. Wisdom is referred to as a sheep, the 7 pillars. But it takes wisdom, or we like to say wise mind, not to deal with a woman, but to deal with a unity, to deal with yourself too. It's not about understanding her, you know, it's understanding us, I and I. So that's the depths of it. So when we look into all of this now, again, it is natural that even though a woman may think, oh, I can do it by myself, I'm an independent woman, and you may laugh, you know, but that's what the whole pants thing is all about. Before we saw all these sisters wearing pants, we always used to hear the term, I'm the one that wears the pants in the family. That ain't so now. That's not so now. Believe me, that's not so now. You hardly see a woman that is not in a pants. Again, when I was young, you don't see no woman. What you talking about? This is new to me, in any pants. Now, it's a totally different thing. Totally different. I wear the pants in the family. Again, that's not the same today. And, you know, there's a mystic within that, you know, because I, as an individual, you know, my mother and my father, I definitely give thanks for them and their presence in my life. And of course, you'd always hear the story of some of my friends say they don't even know who their father is. Wow, you know, it's heavy. And, you know, so I'm always thankful, not only knowing who my father is. My father took care of me and brought me up in the best way that he knew how, you know, and ever there. When I say ever there, I mean ever there, you know, not nobody that come and look for me business. Ever there, I mean I there with him, you know, grow up with him, grow up with my mother. So it's, you know, it's a joy for me to and be able to look at that and say, well, give thanks, because you see so many around you that have never had that relationship at all, even with their father. Don't even know who they are. And that's a serious thing. And even though that was the case with me, you know, my mother still had to work hard, 2 jobs and all of that, you know, just to make sure what, you know, what she think had to be fulfilled got fulfilled. So you see, the reality is we came through a time, for whatever reason, where brothers were neglecting their responsibility. It's still happening now, but I live to see many, many brothers, a lot of young brothers, you see, have children. You always hear them say, listen, brother, my father never take care of me, so I gotta make sure I take care of them. You know, so the times are changing. But we came through a time when many, many baby fathers never took care of their children, and that is well known, and that is like a culture in the black nation across, especially in the Western world. But, well, that's what I know of. That's what I know of, because you hear it repeated all the time. In song, dance, and even the movies. You just hear people talk about it. That's why they have so many songs about mommy. No, you know, hardly any songs about daddy. You see? But the point I'm making there is this. That when you see the woman transform her whole dressing, and a woman began to wear the pants, whether she knew it or not, it was like an expression being echoed throughout the world that, hey, if he's not going to stand up and do what he has to do as a man, well, I'm going to put on the pants in the family and do what I got to do. And I'm saying they came together. And the woman really stood up. You got to give thanks to the woman, man. You got to give thanks to your mother. You got to give thanks to your sisters. You got to give thanks to your grandmothers, them sisters there, because a lot of our grandmothers and great grandmothers, they live with grandfather, you know. They lived with grandfather. I come from a culture years ago that if the grandfather or if the man, they don't do that now, but if the man went out and he had a child, and the word came back that he had a child outside of the family, the mother would say, I hear you have a picnic down the road, man. I say, well, yeah, go and bring the child here, let us raise it as a family. That's how it used to be, you know. That is how it used to be. If you as a man have your wife, you don't have 7 children, and you go and flirt and fool around and have a next child and pretend you're keeping it secret, when that word get to your wife, and it's the woman there in the society that used to do that, she'll go and call her sisters like, you hear man have a son down in the village? Yeah? And they would go down and look at the child and watch him and watch her and say that is him, you know. If the child look like him, even if the child don't look like him, they have ways of looking at this and looking at that and say that is his picnic there, you know. Yeah. And they don't condemn him. There's nothing wrong, nobody getting divorced. I'm just telling you what happened in this country and in the Caribbean culture just a few generations ago. You know you can't try that now. No, you can't try that now. And the mother would bring the child and raise the child in her family and free up the other woman. And the other woman ain't got no problem with that. And you know what that shows me? That also is remnants, the remnants of the African culture that was beaten out of us and ripped out of us from Africa. Because whether you think it's right or wrong, you know, nobody can disagree. That whole practice of the king or the household having multiple wives, that is something that was a part of the African culture for a long time. And don't just confuse Africa as a culture again, you know, because they have other cultures in Africa that don't condone that. So just be careful, because we like to say, oh, that's our African culture, but they have other African culture that don't condone that. It's one man and one wife. But I'm just showing you, though, with an understanding that the vast majority of the ancient cultures were accepting that and promoting that. And I'm just saying that that whole action, because remember, you know, the farther back you go towards the emancipation of slavery and into the end of slavery, and so you can see some of the African tradition still sparking. That's why the old people would dress a certain way, wrap their head a certain way, use certain types of language that when them attack, these words are African words. Make them, I think is Amharic for welcome. Make them, or make them. We say make them or make them. You understand? So we, in our dialect, we had the African word sounds well embedded in us, although we may not have been speaking the language, but we still had remnants of it with us. And it's the same thing with the culture. So just that whole philosophy to tell your husband, and it happened, almost every family can give you a story like that, for you to tell your husband, no, go and bring him here. Now, the culture that we have adopted from the enslaver established countries like the Canada and the United States and the etc., is that if you do that as a woman, shame on you. You see he go and sleep out and you talking about you bringing home his child, shame on you. And even some of you listening as the woman will say, of course shame on her, that's crazy. But you would have never thought like that. That's what I'm showing you, even if you think so now. You know, that's not something I would relish in myself. But I'm just showing you that you would have never thought like that. Several generations ago, you're thinking like someone else. Yeah. You're not even aware of the fact that you are a nation. I encourage you all, you know. I know this is what a lot of people like to hear, but I'm encouraging you all to watch or to listen to the listen and watch whatever has been uploaded on the YouTube, the CVs, the economic state of the black nation. Very, very important. So yes, so Isaiah man. So the daughters are mourning and they're weeping and they're crying. All the men have fallen in battle, and then all have been slain by the sword. And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, and shall say unto him, we will purchase our own bread. We will buy our own garments and we will house ourselves. Let us just be called by your name, so as to take away our reproach. And the Lord of hosts took away the filthiness from the daughters of Zion. So what I'm gathering from this story now, because we're doing mathematics here, there was an absence of the male presence. There was an absence of the God man, the God figure. There was an absence of the Christ-like being. And the woman went astray. And this could be seen expressed in her natural movement, behavior, and garments, according to this scripture here. But it was not something that lasted forever. The physical aspects or the physical physical penalties can already be seen. Again, I will highlight just quickly a documentary we did on the hair, good hair, bad hair. You should check it out right on our YouTube page, YouTube channel. You know, and the results, I mean, I know several people that, you know, having problem with their scalp. And if you are, the rosemary bush is very good for regrowing hair. Just take it from me. You could just use it, and it's natural rosemary too, especially those of you in the colder countries, in the concrete jungles. Some of that stuff you buy in the supermarket, I wouldn't put it in my hair. But the natural rosemary that you could grow in your garden, when you come to the Caribbean, you'll see rosemary growing. For those of you who are coming down in December, you could just take that and wash your hair directly with it, with your shampoo of choice. And then, well, it shouldn't be, well, I hope your choice is good, you know, and believe me, that will help your hair to grow, as a woman or as a man, you know. So I'm just showing you, and you could look it up too. Yeah. I'm just showing you now that even the penalties have already been seen, the literal, you know. Because when you destroy your scalp, even the tattoos that we put on us, I don't jump up and say, oh, we used to do that in Africa. Oh my. That is nothing compared to what is going on now. Whether the needle is clean or dirty, the ink that is between the layers of your skin is poison. And if you have a tattoo, you need to be detoxing regularly, of course. You see, so the Christ man now, listen to me, man. The Christ, this is what I gather from all of this. I want to push aside just for a moment that whole idea of polygamy, because some of you already commented, even before even hearing part one, and it's polygamy and that's what you're on. That's the discussion. All right. History alone shows that as a part of most cultures, if not almost all, from a long time. That has only changed in recent times. Even down to your religious cultures, it is something that is well understood. All right, so let us just put that, and I will say again, anyone that is to establish themselves as a man with even one wife, even to have a wife, you should be a God within yourself. That's just how I think. You should be a God within yourself. You have to know what that is. Oh, I don't have it. You have to know what a God within yourself is. Much more to say you have two. Oh, man, wow. Two. It's not just about how much money you have. Listen, in Isaiah 4, the sister said, you don't have to feed us. That's what they said. You don't have to clothe us. That's what they said. You don't have to give us nothing. That's not what they wanted. Remember, their gates were mourning, so they had gates. They had gates. I said they were the professional woman of today, the ones in the bank, the CEO. Oh yeah, you think it's some broke girl looking for something? No, man. No. She had the diamonds and pearls. You didn't read the list, man? She had the nose rings. She had the rings on every finger. She had the latest design apparel. That's why she was mincing when she was walking. Read it properly. She wasn't begging nobody for nothing. She didn't even know you. And nobody could speak to her because no Christ was around. A lot of fellas were on the corner. Oh yeah, a lot of fellas were on the block, of course. And Mr. This and Mr. That, he also passed with his nose too high. He thought he was something, but he was just another beeb. Yeah, yeah. The real housemaster used to spank him daily, and she knew all of that, so nobody could speak to her. She was at the top of her game. Don't touch me. That's her. Yeah. But then reality struck one day. And to me, that is going to be the day that Marcus Garvey speaks of, when we as a people, listen to me, when we as a people, I wonder if you're hearing, when we as a people find ourselves with our back against the wall, we ain't really there yet. Trust me, we're not there yet, man. We're not there yet. It will happen. I think in the vast majority of the people that are hearing this, in your lifetime, you're going to see something that you never expected. The paper money is not going to mean anything anymore. It doesn't matter what you had in the bank, even your car and the house, it's not going to be a place of refuge. You know that. Not just because the Bible says the rock is going to run and you run into the rock. It's nice, it's pretty poetry, but it's reality. I tell you, I live on an island that if certain ships don't come here for 2 weeks, I mean, people will start eating themselves and their children, I'm sure. If specific ships do not visit this island for 2 weeks, that's it. And don't get me wrong, it's almost the same thing with a lot of these developed countries, even the big old USA. There's ships that go there from other places. Yes, they send things other places too, but you see, this trade war is about this. Tell you what, you keep your stuff and we keep our stuff, and let's see who can survive. So that is why Africa is being looted and polluted, because none of them can survive on their own, but Africa can feed the world. So let it do it, the man, it will do it gladly. Africa can feed the world. So I'm just showing you that it is easy, man. We depend on electricity. Some of us, if the Wi-Fi, if the internet is slow, man, it's the worst day of the year. Bam, So what's going on, Jill? What's wrong? This beep beep internet is so slow. It's slow. Suppose it came off. Suppose the electricity went. And in the dead of snow you need a heater. Huh? And in the heat of summer you need your air condition. Huh? These lands that you have occupied, have you ever gone up in a weather balloon or even in a plane and see the forest of skyscrapers going as far as the eye can see? The forest of the Amazon of skyscrapers, the jungle of skyscrapers going as far as the eye can see. You don't want to get caught in the middle of that forest when there's no electricity. You hardly want to get caught in the middle of that forest when there's electricity. Much less when there's none. The time is coming. What's wrong with you? The people that run this planet, I will repeat, half the wetlands of the earth in 100 years have been dried up. Ozone layer and global warming, what kind of custodians are they? That's why I'm telling you, black supremacy has run the planet for maybe millions of years and everything was all right. Until white supremacy took over. And in 100 years, half the wetlands gone. We got to be careful for the next 100. We're going to be living on a chip. You know, they say dry like chips. Well, that's a phrase we use in the Caribbean. Carried so far beyond where we belong. Dry like chips. The point I'm making is, this is my point. I'm not telling stories. Somebody commented on one of my things and say, it take too long to make the point. We've been missing the point for 400 years. What's wrong with you? For 400 years, and even when I make the point, enough people still don't get the point. If we did get the point, we'd be really on point. So what's the point? I'm telling you the time will come. When we as a people, our back will be against the wall. And you see, to me, the age of the Messiah is gone. And I call the age of the Messiah when Marcus Garvey came, when Noble Drew Ali came, when Elijah Muhammad came, in the time when the Emperor Haile Selassie was crowned, even in the time of Malachi York, the Honorable King Emmanuel Charles Edwards. And you'll notice I have all these names in no specific order, obviously. But you have messiahs rising up and charismatic leaders and all of this. And people gravitated to them, especially during a time when the circumstances of the time, you know, brought this magnetic connection to this charismatic leader that would rise up to, number one, liberate you and maybe bring you the right religious doctrine. That is what was going on in that time, the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, even 80s. It's not really the same now. These organizations have been established under the heading of their messiahs and leaders and founders and all of that. Please follow me good. The reason why I am a Rastafari, the reason why I am a Bobo Shanti, again, is because I was seeking for God. I thought that there were so many different quote-unquote religions around that one of them had to be correct. Something had to be right in the midst of all of this. People like to say, well, I'm not a part of no religion. This is a way of life. And I always like to say, whatever you consider to be a way of life, somebody else will say is a religion. So I don't have to worry about the title. And I found Rastafari. I come to live to see that Rastafari, all the aspects of life that is saving people comes from Rastafari. From the way that people are eating now. It is Rastafari that started that whole vegan liberty. I mean, from the early 30s, the whole vegan liberty. It is the same Rastafari that has been pushing the concept of reparation for an extremely long time. The sons of Marcus Messiah Garvey will tell you it is Rastafari that kept their father's name alive. the grandsons, crown princes of Ethiopia, they will tell you it is the Rastafari that kept their grandfather's Haile Selassie's name alive. Organic farming in these things. Look how everybody's jumping for joy and hip hip hooray about the hemp hooray. Who kept that alive? We need not answer that question there. And a lot of things that people consider to be life-saving. The whole herbal medicine and all of that vibration from the Rastafari. So that is the key thing about Rastafari. It's a specific type of levity. It's not just talking and a lot of knowledge and a lot of scholarship. And can you read this? Do you study Hebrew? Can you read the Metuneta? Have you ever been to Egypt? This and that. And all of this coming down. Have you read volume 1 and volume 2 of Black Athena? Have you done this and that and that? What about Chancellor William? Have you studied with Diop? I knew Diop personally. And you get a heap of thought. Listen, all of that sounds nice in a man. That sounds good. But when you don't have no gas stove now, and the petroleum stop coming, and the gas lock off depending on where you are in the world, because war is going on here, there, and everywhere, and the ships can't pass. Can you take 2 stones? Can you get some dry grass? Can you get a stick? And can you light a fire? We had to learn to do that. Can you light a fire? Do you know how to survive in the hills, in the mountains? You may be surprised, that's the foundation of Rastafari, you know. Are you close to nature? Are you so wrapped up in your material things that you do not know how to survive without them? That is what Rastafari was about originally. That's why even if you live in a palace and you come to the faith of Rastafari, we need to have monasteries built for you to go through your rites of passage to enter into this thing properly. I'm so happy that I was asked to leave my father's house. I'm telling you, to go and live in the hills for several years. It brought me to who I am, man. I'm telling you. Some of us, we never even cook on a clay pot. We never even cook on an outside fire. We can't even put some ground provision in the earth and cover it and make the sun roast it after a couple of days. We don't know none of them things. Can't get water from a spring. Don't know what to do. Don't know how to survive in the evening. Read the stars and know ways north, east, west, and south. All of that come with the Rastafari levity and obviously a certain level of knowledge, information, and a connection to the ether. That is what's going to save human beings. The true religion. I don't care what you think, you believe, you know, and you have most knowledge. The true religion, the true way of life is what's going to save human beings. Write that point down. The true way of life is going to save us. And there's going to be a time that our levity and our order and our belief is going to be tested in the earth. All the clapping and singing and this book says and that book says and this dynasty and that dynasty is not going to work. When war is on the high seas and the food stop coming, where's the garden? And just the concept of reparation is to ensure that we are in a safe place. The highest region, all of these things. And of course, the feeble in mind, no disrespect, and of course, the lost in thought will think that we've gone off the subject, but we write on the subject. You don't understand, eh? First of all, the Bible really look at the woman a mystic way here. As I said yesterday, if 7 women can come and hold on to 1 man, so what about 7 men holding on to 1 woman? And some people were like, no, that's not right. How come? They're not equal anymore? Wow, I'm telling you. You see, please keep everything I just said. It is going to appear as if I got on to a next point. So don't forget everything I just said. All right, I'm teaching you how to listen to to the mystic vibration, man. I'm so happy that you're with me, man. Trust me, man. Give thanks for your presence. I really appreciate all, individuals that make it their business to, listening and get the vibes and communicate with I. It's really a joy, man. This is about our liberation, nothing else, man. When you read about the 144,000 elect in the Bible, and they said 12,000 from this tribe, 12,000 from that tribe, 12,000 from this tribe, and 12,000 from that tribe. Do you know these 12,000s are all brothers, all male? What do you mean? When you see the children of Israel numbered in the Revelation, the 144,000, is money talking about male? I know some of you don't agree. But that's all over the Bible. It's not just there alone. The chronology. You read the Chronicles, you read the Book of the Kings, you read anywhere. Read the family lineage for the birth of Christ and so in Luke and Matthew. All chronological charts speaks primarily of the male factor. That's how it is. So the female factor is not mentioned. Is this man the father of this man? Who is the father of that man? And he is the father of that man, and he is the father of that man. And he is the father of that man, and he was the father of that man. And he had 5 sons, and they were so and so and so. And he had 7 sons, and they were so and so and so. You might hear he have 7 sons and 1 daughter, and that daughter married that king, and that king had a son, and that son was the father of that man, and that son was the father of this man, and he was the father of that man. A woman's name is only mentioned to kind of put the puzzle together so you understand the rest of the story. And it's all over. The chronology, the genealogical charts and all of these things. So it is it's not strange for even me to tell you that in Revelation, the 144,000 elect is all man, all male, all fellas then, all brothers is the better choice. Now, is there something wrong with that? Of course, what you mean? What kind of dumb question is that? All right, well, it depends on how you look at it, eh? You never hear this whole concept that Isis represents the throne. She represents the throne. She's almost like the hidden ruler. What I'm saying is this. When you study the Bible, there's a specific tribe they call the tribe of Levi. And the tribe of Levi, when it comes to the chronology as well, Levi is a tribe that they do not speak of Levi when it comes to the keeping of records in certain aspects. So when you hear the tribe numbered, or when you hear the tribe named in the Old Testament, you would not hear the tribe of Levi called. Even when they were giving out the portion of the land, listen to me good now, when they were giving out the portion of the land, when they were dividing Israel, the Lord didn't give nothing to Levi, as if Levi's name just not on the list. And Levi is known for that, not being accounted for. Now, why is this? The reason is because Levi is considered to be so special that Levi is like unto the Lord. So even when you go and you give all the sacrifice to the Lord, and you bring this sacrifice and that sacrifice and your first fruit and your harvest, and you bring this and that for the Lord to eat, and pineapple and dewberry and all of that, the Lord ain't eating none of that stuff. Is the priests and the Levites behind the tabernacle gonna chow down on that and drink down the wine and say, yeah man, that tastes good, boy. One thing she can bake, eh? Yeah man, boy, Nathaniel, boy, his wife can bake, no joke. What a cake, what a barley bread, is they gonna eat it? So they obviously have a special place. They serve the Lord, they are around the Lord, but yet still, you don't see their name coming up nowhere. So you may look at it, especially if you are not an initiate, and you may say, but why they always leaving out Levi? That's why they call him Levi. They Levi. It look like they Levi, but they don't leave him at all. Levi
is in the midst of it all. Levi is literally the individual that carries the ark. So the fact that Levi is not numbered or mentioned doesn't necessarily mean that something is bad or something is wrong with Levi. I did a program on Akhenaten where some people say that King Seti I disrespected Akhenaten and Tutankhamun. Why? Because there was a list of kings and these two brothers' names were not in the list. So obviously something got to be wrong with them. Why would they be left out of the list? But their status was so on a different level, and that is why they were not in the list. It was not because they were too bad and they were not good enough to be in the list. No. But their status, their godlike presence was so high that they were bigger than that list. Levi, so you're not going to find no record of them because of where they stand. As I said again, the Aset, she represents the throne, and the man sits on the throne, but she represents the throne. Someone would say the hidden power. It's deep, you know. Baba Shanti, we call the woman empress. It's we start that empress thing, and I make nobody fool you. We call the woman empress. So how is it we call each other priest and prophet? We ain't got no emperor. So how she's an empress? None of us reach to the status of even a god, an emperor. She is, or even a king. She is the empress. So what you mean? As if we are the one that have to work our way up. There's something mystic about a woman. That's the point I'm saying. To me, there's something naturally special about a woman, wherein even all of us, before some of us became a man, we were female inside of our mother's womb. That is very mystic. And King Emmanuel, I always say King Emmanuel shows a very mystic thing, that you personally as a man, you may cite up the Bobo Shanti order. If you as a man cite up the Bobo Shanti order, and you wear your turban, now you've never been crowned, maybe you come to Bobo Shanti Hill, and you know, do your morning devotion and you clap and sing and everything, and that's good. But you've never ever been crowned, because you have to be crowned, to become a Bobo Shanti prophet. So the priest wrap your turban and read the Psalms over you. But you don't just get it because you come and you want it. You have to be obviously seeing to be interested in the order, and you understand the morning devotion and all of that. I'm just saying. So when you come to Bobo Shanti Hill, you know, by right, even though you're wearing turban all up and down the place, you know, you're supposed to literally take off your turban, for real, and come in if you're not crowned. You don't feel the way when you get crowned, you put on a turban, because you don't really come in Bobo Shanti yard with cap and so, you know. Okay, good. Do you know, even if you've been going to Bobo Shanti Hill for months, and you say you're Bobo for years, and you start to go to hill, and every Sabbath you're up there and so, and you tell your girlfriend, listen girlfriend, let's go Bobo Hill now. Now even if your girlfriend is a Jehovah Witness, and she said, look man, me need them Selassie thing with you now. Well, I don't know how you, well anyway, let me not say, but anyway, me need that Selassie thing with you now. And she could be wearing wigs, purple wigs and black wigs and them grey and whatever, and she have on all the latest designs and red lips and jewels on her teeth and everything, and she need that Selassie thing, and she eat anything. Do you know, when you reach to the Bobo Shanti gate, before you go in officially, you as the Bobo, you know, you as the Ras that hail Selassie and preaching to everybody about Selassie, you have to take off your turban because you're not crowned. You don't have no problem, because you know you're going to soon get your crown. You're happy to say, yeah man, priest, you don't know how you're going to, man. Yeah man, you know me come devotion tomorrow, me get my crown soon. So you're happy. But she now, your wife or your girlfriend, Can't believe me come up here now. And she even have on her tight jeans pants. Do you know she would be given a wrap skirt, number one, and she will be given a fall. This is the garments of a Bobo Shanti woman. She would be given the garments of a Bobo Shanti woman. She's not no Bobo Shanti. She's not no Rasta. She's not even really interested. Only because she loves you, she following you. But just for her to come in, she would be given the full royal apparel that when you see her after the empresses take care of her, you say, but wait, Nikki, are you that? She just looking royal. She said, boy, them empresses up here, they're nice, oh my, you know, yeah, and you know, your turban off, nothing wrong, it's just a procedure. Well, I'm trying to show you, look at all what you have as a man have to go through. By right, you're supposed to stay 3 months on the hill, you know, before you get your turban. You have to go morning devotion, you have to make sure you're in line. The woman don't have to do nothing. All she have to do is come. And she's an empress already. That's Emmanuel order, not me. That's Emmanuel order. So what is that? That to me show you something different with a man and a woman. And some of us, we're afraid to accept that. Oh, we're all equal. And they just stick on that because the slave master tried to push that on your head now. Of course you're equal. I'm not saying nobody better than nobody. It's an equal thing here. What's wrong with you? But there's a difference between me and her. And because we're so caught up in this equal thing and we don't want to offend nobody. We don't want to offend nobody. So we try to just keep it calm. Even what I'm talking about here, 7 women take hold of 1 man. Why you think nobody talk about this? Because they don't want to offend nobody. They don't want to, just to talk about it, to bring it in the full light. So I'm saying, now when you read Isaiah and it speaks about the male factor being destroyed, that's why they do that today. That's why the prisons all over the world is rampacked with black people. The stats of the US is the stats that people like to throw about, but it's real. 51% of the inmates are black people, who are 12% of your population. 51% of them in jail. 51% of the people in jail, pardon me, is black people. Wow. And 96% of that or more is male. 96% or more. So that's a straight in your face example of all the mighty man has fallen in battle. All the mighty man has fallen by the sword. And even those that are not in the penitentiary, they still fallen by the sword. They fallen by the crack. They fallen by the cocaine. They fallen by the drugs. They fallen by the guns. They just fallen by the whole homosexuality vibes that is coming on them. They fallen by the obesity. They fallen by sickness and diabetes. They're just falling because they're not thinking about nothing. They're falling by, oh, I want a job, or I need a raise, and boss, and this and that. That's all going on out there. So the woman now who naturally looking for Christ, the woman who is naturally looking for Christ, because since we're on the symbolism now, what is the woman? What is the woman here? In the Bible, Christ is fashioned like a man that don't have no woman. But yet still, he has a bride. Christ in the Bible is fashioned as a man that doesn't have a woman. But yet still, he has a bride. Who is his bride? She is referred to as the bride of the Lamb. The marriage supper of the Lamb. To me, The first miracle that Christ did was at a wedding. I see that as symbolic of the marriage supper of the Lamb. Because at that wedding, Christ turned water to blood, which for those who have been following us understand that that is very symbolic of his presence on the earth. His first miracle. That means, ta-da, he's on stage now. It may not have been his birthday, but it's symbolic of his Christhood. It's symbolic of his birth, him being born. When water turns to wine, or when water turns to blood, the salinity, the seawater turned to blood. I'm sure you can remember all of this. The fire leaving the heavenly zone and touching the seawater, and it turns to blood. So when Christ turned the water to blood, it's symbolic of his presence, his first miracle. And it is his presence with us. It is his presence in our zone, and us accepting his presence that makes the church now, the church, the bride of Christ. It is the church that is the wife of Christ, you know. Well, what is the church? The church is this goody or body of individuals, both male and female, that have accepted the salvation of this Christ. Listen to me good. The church is the body of Christ, they call it. So the church is this body, this group, this goody that has accepted this figure, this Christ figure, whoever the Christ figure may be. This church is his bride. That's the basic theology, eh? Whether you're a Christian or anything, eh? Ain't religion I'm preaching here, you know. I am not even preaching. I'm just showing you the template that most everybody follow. All right. So the Christ figure is the Lamb, and he's coming into the world. You have accepted this. Him turning water into wine, meaning that the Almighty of all creation, the nucleus of the world, or God, has come as a human being, Christ. All right. Many people, they worship Christ, but they don't follow Christ. They worship Christ, but they don't follow Christ. That's the problem. Christ came doing things. And you see, this is what I'm talking about. So as Rastafari now, we speak of Marcus Garvey, we speak of Haile Selassie. As Bobo Shanti, we speak of Prince Emmanuel Charles Edwards. We follow Christ. Christ comes with statutes and precepts. Christ returns, if you want to use these terminology, to show you, because Christ is always here, you know, man, to show you the right way to walk, the right way to talk. That is why the world is gravitating to the principles of Rastafari, the colors of Rastafari, the music of Rastafari, the ways of Rastafari. Whatever Rastafari doing to recreate themselves, they want to do that too. Because Rastafari has certain principles and precepts. They want to eat and drink like Rastafari. We have a certain liberty that we live by. We didn't just make it up. And I'm going to speak specifically as a member of the EABIC, that as Bobo Shanti, remember the Black Tiger? It is Prince Emmanuel that has taught us all our principles that we keep. From our drumming, to our singing, to our eating, to how we rest, to how we wake up, when you go to rest, when you fast, when you don't fast, what color you wear, what color you don't wear, what color and what position you wear. You can say what you want, but we have been well trained by the Black Christ. And none of us dare step off if we're serious about him. Some of us try to make up our own thing. But if we follow his principle, no, this may not be your tradition. I'm not trying to force you. But that's the concept of a Christ. That's the concept of a Christ. I'm just using who I see as the Christ so I could express it properly to you. The Christ comes with a specific way. The Christ comes with a specific order. It's not just, oh, he's the Christ, or let's worship him and kneel down and pray to him. That is European vibration, brother. That's not what it's about. So here we have in flesh. That's why we speak of the Melchizedek order. You know, so we have Prince Emmanuel, a high being, a high being amongst us, who has been given the mandate, live and direct in front of our faces, 1996, 21st of April, and yet still in the Akashic realms, have been given the mandate from the spiritual dimension to literally come and teach the true way of life to human beings. It's the same thing people will say of Elijah Muhammad. People are going to say the same thing about Malachi York. People are going to say the same thing about Ben Ami. People are going to say the same thing about Noble Dwali. All right, I ain't don't have the time to wrestle with you. But that's the point. So the Christ figure, this Savior figure, shouldn't just come for us to kneel down and pray to him on Sunday time and Saturday time. No, if that's the gig, we'll and come again. This quote-unquote Savior is someone that comes with the saving order. Whether mystically or not, whether he read it in the book or he just like, how he know all of this? Well, that's the mystic of the man. But this is not European religion. For you to follow him and give him the praises is to obey what he said to do. Don't come tell me, boy, Emmanuel is Christ and Selassie and Heli and that's not how it works. That's not good enough. So what you're doing now, what the Heli livity is all about, is the livity that give praises. The livity. So I'm just saying that there is a livity. You may think you have it, but there is a livity that exists. And in the realms of theology and the mystics, please listen, in the realms of theology and the mystics, some of us don't want to accept it, but according to our traditions, I will repeat it one more time, in the realms of theology and the mystics, a human being or human beings will come throughout the passage of time to continually remind us of who we are and who we should be. That is just natural. It's not religion, it is only natural. That's all. So I'm just saying that the man that the seven women shall hold on to is the Christ man. If you don't want to use the word Christ, I don't want you to lose my point. I'm saying again, there is a literal spirit of truth that exists in the earth. And that is why I said in the earliest, I knew that of all these religions and ways and orders and all of this concept and belief, something in the midst of all that got to be the truth. Something got to be right there. And of course, again, the bringer of this message, the messenger now of the saving message. Listen, the messenger of the saving message. You don't have to feel religious to say it. It is tradition. The message of the saving, the messenger of the saving message. We have known of his coming or her coming from a long time. And they are always coming, him and her. That's why we have different ages to renew ourselves. And the spirit of truth manifest in humans, special humans too, crystal humans, Christ-like beings, male and female. They come alone, sometimes they come in groups, and they come to bring back the reality of creation back to us. And that's how I see Prince Emmanuel. I just have to let you know. He come and teach us again everything, when to do what day to do what, or what day not to do what. Other people come and do that too, and it may be a bit different. But if you believe they are the one as such, I'm not here to fight that. But I'm just here to say that now, the Christ figure, those of us now, that's why I'm saying the age of the Messiah is past. So those of us now that follow Elijah Muhammad, and we have on our bow tie and our suit and all of that, we even look like him. We're like replicas of Elijah Muhammad. Those of us who follow Ben Ami and with our beard and our hair plait and the little, the knitted hat, and man, you look just like Ben Ami. When people see me, what do you think they say? Boy, one thing, boy, you favor the father, King Emmanuel. You resemble King Emmanuel. Boy, now you look like Selassie and all of that. Huh? Because when they see you, they see your leader. That is why sometimes when people gravitate, as I said, the church is full of women because they're seeking for the man of right. And that's why sometimes when a woman comes to you looking for God and you abuse them and turn them away from God before they even get to see the God will deal with you. She didn't even come to me. Bring her to me, the man. You're not me. You could be me, but you still have some more work to do. And this is the point that I'm making. So in that day now, in that day, the woman shall mourn, the woman shall lament, the woman shall sit in her gates, the woman shall be heaping dust upon her head. All the fancy stuff is gone, all the bling bling is gone, all the name brand is gone. Sickness and disease has hit her, eating in the highest class of restaurants all over the world, in Paris and in Spain and in Italy, has given her diabetes now, and she has cysts, polycystic ovaries, all of these things. She may have to take an operation tomorrow and a hysterectomy and take out her womb and all of this, and she said, I didn't expect this. This is what life is all about. And again, the period of us as a people, our back against the wall. In general, people are going to be crying out. But no matter what religion and belief, no matter how slick you be at the tongue, no matter how good you are as a debater, the people are going to look and say, he chat too much. These people here living the life. No gas here, no food. They have all the food growing. They know how to survive in this terrible time. They know how to connect with nature. Yeah. And the church, the woman now represents the church. The bride of Christ. The church is a woman. The church is a woman. There's a hymn that says the church is one foundation. The church is one foundation. 'Tis Negus Christ, our Lord. She is his new creation. She, the church, is considered a she. So Christ now in the New Testament speaks about the 7 churches. If the church is the bride of Christ, and he's speaking about the 7 churches. These are the 7 brides of the Christ. I'm not taking it out of the realistic aspects of 7 literal sisters with 2 legs each, holding on to one man with 2 legs and 2 arms. But I'm just carrying you now to a next realm before we come back there. So the woman now, the church is the woman. The church is the woman of God. Remember, the church is not made up of women alone, It's a congregation. But as a unit, they are the entity that Christ is married to. The bride of Christ. On the level of human beings, I'm saying that it is the nature of the woman to seek for a man that is godlike. Whether she know it or not, she's seeking for a man that is like Christ. She may not know Christ. She hear about a Christ and they've been giving her this weird Christ. And that's why I will repeat, you see the church flock of them. But the true Christ is just a matter of time. What is in the darkness will come to light. All the talking will stop. All the book writing and all of that wouldn't make any sense anymore. Documentaries and DVDs, the whole world would be able to see, yeah, that is the truth over there. This may sound strange to you, man. But I know the Almighty have a special place in his heart for the daughter of Zion. Special place. So you may say she's not numbered. A special place. Because when Adam and Eve, read that story properly. According to the story, when Eve bit the fruit, nothing happened. Eve bit the fruit, crunch, the apple there, crunch. You know it's not no apple. And nothing happened. Everything was dandy. The birds were still singing, tweet, 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 tweet. And then when Adam came along, he said, hey, what's going on here, Eve? You ate that? Take a bite, Adam. No, what's wrong with you? You know it's all right. Can't you see everything is okay? And the moment Adam bit it, crunch, the skies came dark. And God was heard walking in the garden. And he asked Adam, what's up? So now, that shows you, why didn't he come in when Eve committed the wrong? And you get the impression, if Adam stood up as a man at that time, the judgment would not have come down on them. But Adam followed Eve, and then the Lord stepped in. Just watch the mistake. He stepped in after Adam committed the trespass, because Adam was responsible for the whole situation. Follow that good. So I see that there is a natural difference. It is not by chance that the male is usually bigger than the female. It's nature working there. The protector, you're supposed to protect her. You're almost her security and her bodyguard. Watch it good, the man. Watch it good. Who's really running the show here? You protect her. You make sure she's fed. Oh, well, I'm an independent woman. We passed that stage, man. You make sure that she's satisfied. And when she's in that full godly state of mind, again, oh man, what a royal entity has been created. So the time now, according to this prophecy, is so dread, so dread, that all the women, they're in the dusk and no more Christ is around. No more Christ is around. The Christ figures are so few and far apart. This has nothing to do with sex. This ain't about, no, I got more woman, and all of these sick thoughts that most of us as men think about. Sick. This is a holy thing being portrayed in this book of Isaiah. That 7 women, looking at the situation and understanding, these 7 women, without any confrontation amongst themselves, will hold on to one man that has the principle of Christ, the principle of God, and God himself in flesh, and say unto him, they're asking him to be their husband. They're telling him, you could see they come as a group, man. We don't want nothing we want. So this is going totally against the traditional man with more than one wife. Because traditionally, you have to make sure the woman have all of these things. But it is not so in this case. They're telling you, even before you go in your pocket, you don't have to pull out your checkbook. We will write the checks. We don't want nothing from you. All we want is your saving grace. All we want is your name to take away our reproach. And that is seen in Isaiah 4 as something to celebrate, wherein the Lord complied and took away their reproach. Isn't that something? Wow. That is deep. This is why I showed you. Remember, we spoke about Jacob meeting his wife by the well, the water. Jacob meeting his wife by the well. And Isaac's wife, they met her by the well. And Christ, he met the woman from Samaria. Maria is waters. He met her by the well. You see it? Now Moses, he also met Zipporah by the well. But when you read the story of Moses properly, Moses met the 7 sisters by the well. Now, remember, Moses is a Christ figure as well. And I'm pushing my point that the woman is symbolic of the church. She is the bride of Christ. So when you as a man have come to that Christhood within yourself, the man, and you've reached to that God state within yourself, and you are a mirror of the Almighty, not just in looks, because you are created in His image and His likeness. Some of us have His image. We dress up like Him, but we don't have His likeness, and the woman can pick up all of that. So no matter how much image you have, you got to have His likeness. When you are filled with the order of the black God, your woman is like your church. Like your church. Yeah. The body of Christ. It's a deep kind of holy vibes, man. And the reality is, Moses is a Christ figure. So to me, because we're doing science, it is esoteric science. Esoteric is science. It's secret science. It's a science. It's a science. It's trial and no errors here. It's quote-unquote experiment. Jacob met his wife at a well. Isaac, his wife, at a well. Christ met the Samaritan woman at the well. Moses met his wife at the well too. But the story with Moses is unique. He met 7 sisters there at the well. 7 of them. And Moses is a Christ figure. Next to Christ in the Bible, Moses is the biggest man. In fact, as Bobo Shanti, one of our phrases and culture is that Moses is God and God is Moses. So let's just cut to the chase. Moses is God, a God figure, and he have 7 wives. Oh no, the Bible didn't say that. No, I'm reading between the lines, man. We ain't talking about this literal history that we tried to create. We're talking about the symbolic understanding of how we write our stories. So Moses, the God figure, just like the Christ in Revelation and the 7 churches, the 7 sisters that he met by the well is symbolic of those 7 churches as well. And the 7 women took hold to the one man. Moses is Christ, a Christ figure. And he had the ability to give water to the flock of each of the 7 churches, or each of the 7 women. And the water that he gave to them is symbolic of salvation. So all I'm saying is all of this stuff ain't no macho man business. It ain't no gallus business. It ain't no whirl and trill a load of gal. And me a gallus. Me a not a loafer. Gallus. No. This is real high science here. So to me, because I've trained myself to read these solar books, man, when you study the books of the Chinese and the Japanese and the Mayans, you get a greater appreciation of even the Bible. You see the same story over and over again, and some of these books are even older than this. You understand? So this is what I'm expressing to you. That is why in all the cultures you see the multiple wives and all of that in all the old cultures, because in their writings it pardon me, already been expressed. You understand? And I would really encourage you, both man and woman, to take a real look at yourselves, to examine yourselves. It's not religion, but the reality is within some religions and, within theology, there is the truth of nature seeping out sometimes. And I think the man and woman relationship and understanding each other is something that we need to look at very closely. We can say, the man is strong and broad and the woman is soft and tender. That's a good start. A man can be soft and tender too. But yet, you're right, it's a good start. But it's more than that. I will say again, many of you agree that according to our culture, a man can have multiple wives. Okay, so is there something wrong for a woman to have multiple husbands? And if it is so, why? Are they not equal anymore? And then again now, remember again, we've been taught and trained by a strong oppressor, an oppressor that has come down strong on us. Let me put it that way. You understand? So it is extremely hard for man or woman to even vision this whole concept of bringing to your family structure anything like this without thinking in some lustful way or some level of jealousy arising. And those who practice this culture will tell you that for your economic growth, for the life of your children, it is the best thing. Dr. Ben himself, is it Dr. Ben? I think it's, yes, Dr. Ben, that said, is it Ben? Yeah, Dr. Ben, I think, said he never knew exactly who his exact mother was until he came to a certain age, because there were several wives. I think there were 4 wives in his father's house, and that's how he grew up, with his brothers and sisters. Nobody knew whose mommy was who. They knew they had 4 mothers and the father. Is that the true tradition of life? Again, Prince Emmanuel, our tradition is Bobo Shanti. We read a principle sheet every single morning that says when a man finds a woman, they're not supposed to cleave to no other flesh. You know that as Bobo, eh? Okay. All Bobo don't practice that. Some Bobo literally preach that Prince Emmanuel say that in time to come, a man gonna have 7, 14 or 21 wives. All right. I never hear that out is about. I never hear it. I never even see that on a pamphlet, But what I see on a pamphlet is that when you take hold to a woman, you don't cleave to no other flesh. You understand? Now, I'm saying that if what you're saying is correct, and Prince Emmanuel said that, so why are we still reading this then? If the time is evolving, why are we still reading that? And this is why we need to get these things together. We can't be teaching different concepts out there, because to me that's a serious thing. And that is why even this subject area, a certain aspect I refuse to even delve in. Because I'm not going to try to encourage nobody and say, yeah man, you're right man, you can't have more than one wife. You understand? That is not nothing to play around with. I tell you, you got to be a god, a real god, to even have a wife. Much less to say you have 2. What joke you're making? And the fulfillment of that prophecy, you got to understand the prophecy good, It didn't say that there man gonna go and look for no 7 wives. If that prophecy is true, and that prophecy will fulfill, if that is the case, the 7 or 14 or 2 or 3, I take it the 7 was used as, a spiritual number, but I guess it could be more or less. But the point is that the sisters who naturally are looking for God and sick and fed up and tired of just what's going on in the earth, and maybe the pressure of the earth is really 100 at that time, they are the ones that will go seeking to find the Christ figure. And more than likely, they would know where the Christ figure is. And they prefer to team up as a unit and work together. Not looking for nothing, but looking salvation. to cleanse away their filth. This is something else. So I'm going to advise all of you, don't just take this as a joke. Go and read Isaiah 3 and Isaiah 4 properly. Go and study your ancient African tradition, other traditions, and see how they dealt with that whole concept of polygamy and then the harems and all of that, you know, and consider it good, you know. And if anywhere in your mind as a man, because the reality is, you know, there is a certain aspect of the manhood, machismo, that will always be oozing out when this conversation arises. You'll hardly find a man that purely would want to accept this tradition of having two wives in his house, just cleanly in his mind because of the spiritual implications. You'll hardly find that. You'll hardly find that. Because you have to keep it in mind, you know, the sex thing again. I think it's in the book of Layla Africa, the African Holistic Health, where he speaks about some of the ancient kings. They didn't ejaculate more than 4 times in their life. I hope I'm not making a mistake. Yeah, about 4 times. You may say, what kind of thing is that? No, well, I mean, 4 times may sound a way off there, but how many of us, when your wife is pregnant, you stay the course with her? I know a lot of people, when their wives are pregnant, they still want to have sexual intercourse. Her vaginal canal is blocked, you know. I mean, obviously you can still do it, but that don't mean it's right. No other animal does that, you know. When she's pregnant, she's pregnant. You know, when she's, as we say, with child. And by right, the sexual act should not be taking place. So she's going to be pregnant for 9 months. And obviously when she just has the child, I don't expect you to want to go and enter into her right away. To me, you need to give that another proper time. Yeah, another, you know, to me, another year for her to heal properly, man. What's wrong with you? What I'm saying is this. I know some of you can't even fathom all what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is this. Okay, forget about the time after the birth. The 9 months that she is pregnant. Let's deal with nature properly, man. You shouldn't be having sex with her. If you reach to the point as a civilized human being and you say, you're right, you know, I can't be doing that when my wife pregnant. So what you gonna do? No. I mean, this question may not go for everyone, but I'm sure that many ones, they would need to figure out what they're gonna do. Some brothers can't just don't do nothing, man. Some of you need to know what you're gonna do. Cause for one reason or the other, you think you got to do something. You don't have to do something. Your wife is pregnant. So that's it. What you gotta do? You mean to tell me you can't go a year without having sex? What? You crazy? So wait, what kind of world we living in? Your wife is pregnant. And even after she gives birth, some of you can't even, anyway, I'm not watching nobody business. But some people will literally tell you, man, I can't go a week. I can't go a month. Okay, let's take the week and the month. So after she gives birth, she is in a position where she needs to be healed. That's going to take a little over a week. It may take a little over a month. It may take months. You mean to tell me, so what you going to do then? Come on, talk to me, man. That sounds funny. That sounds like you're doing something somewhere else. We are out of our nature. We are out of our nature. I'll tell you straight, we have too much sex. Ha! Come on, Razzie. We are out of our nature. And maybe I shouldn't put it like that we have too much sexual intercourse. Well, it's right, you know, but that's not the right way I should have put it. I should have put it more in the way that we're totally out of whack with who we are. And because we are totally misusing it, I mean, physically and spiritually, it has its implications. Yeah, definitely. So I brought up that to show you, as a God man, you have to be in full control of your sexual urges as a God man. You mean you can't go a year? You can't take a year off? Mercy. You couldn't be a monk then. You can't take a year off? Wow. So, and I'm saying all of that. It doesn't mean because in the anciency now, it doesn't mean because he has 3 wives, mean, well, when this one is, that's what people think, well, when this one is seeing her menses, at least I can deal with that one. That's not how they thought. That's not what it was about at all. These brothers would go years without that, any sexual intercourse. Yeah, so what about the woman? You gotta spice them up, you gotta spice them up. And this is what I'm trying to show you. Our culture is so far gone. Our culture is so far gone. We become so perverted and cannibalistic like our oppressor. We're gonna have carnival here in Antigua in a few months. Every year they prime up themselves. So we have to think like this. Because we're carnival, we're carnivores, cannibals, bacchanal. That's our culture. Yeah. So I think Isaiah 3-4 is really a royal expression. And in that day 7 women shall take hold of 1 man. And it's a holy thing in that expression because it's speaking of the church of Christ coming home, and the church, Christ and his 7 churches. You understand? And I'm just trying to show you in the full relationship of man and woman. Even when you look at it now in what is called polygamy, in righteousness, it is also a reflection of the 7 churches coming home to the Christ, the bride of Christ. You see it. So it is hard. I don't think we've ever even taken the time to look at it from this angle. And this is the angle you got to look at it from. If you are a man and you're talking about more than 1 wife, well, I'm telling you, if you're not beginning from this level of the conversation, well, where are you going to start from? This is what's going to lead you into a proper understanding of, okay, this is a business we're setting up. We're raising an army, 3 wives and 15 children, and everybody is the mommy and everybody is your children, and homeschool taking place, business and the shop running, we're cooking food, we're serving dinner, and we have everything established. We buy a bus, we buy a van. Then you can think about all of that. But it has to be done in holiness. I wouldn't advise nobody to even bother with anything like that unless they understand within themselves that they are a God. And as Bobo Shanti, as I said, either you're in or you're out. We read principles. That's not the only thing in the principle that we don't keep up, but we read the principles. So either you're with the principles, or if you are what they call them people in the Renaissance. Yeah, I can't remember what they call them. But if you are an individual that is standing up to bring clarity to the principles, well then stand up and bring clarity to the principle. But until you can do that, either you're in or you're out. Give thanks. So yes, my brethren and sisters, give thanks continually for your presence. And that is where it is on that subject area, at least from my point of view. I think it's something that will happen in the future, just because naturally we can see the approach of this world going through a specific turmoil. And I think the example has been also given, and it is obvious that people of sensible thought are gravitating to the natural way of life. It is obvious the natural way of life is the way of God. And I would throw in this conversation that the Rasta man has been treading the nature, natural way of God, not just as a levity, but as a philosophy, and I would do add as a theology. It is a complete package, It is something to look at, it is something to consider and admire. And in the time of trouble, in the time of danger, a principle and an order will stand out. It will stand out. And it's not 7 women alone, It's those who are around will gravitate to it. And I think that prophecy will be seen. It's the prophecy we're talking about. I hope it has been of some inspiration to you, in such a discourse. Holy Emmanuel, Selassie, Jah Rastafari. Yes, give thanks. Remember once again, for a copy of even this program, for a copy of the program last night, previous night, for a copy of the different series that we have done, you could definitely contact me. And remember, you can subscribe. You don't have to even be purchasing no copies of none of these programs. You can subscribe to the Mystic Vibration Shock of the Hour, and each and every evening, we email the program straight to your inbox. So as this program is done tonight, we're going to email this to the inbox of all those who have already subscribed to the Mystic Vibration program that airs every Monday, every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at the hour of 6 p.m. right here on radioanu.com. radioanu.com, and for those who would see this video on YouTube, of course, the link is right below in the description, radioanu.com. As I said, you could definitely subscribe to this program, the Mystic Vibration, a monthly subscription of only 50 United States dollars, and you get all the programs for the month. Every night you get a new program straight in your email. You don't even have to think twice. Wow, wonderful stuff. And remember, also you can email me or contact me if you are interested in visiting us in December 2018, the 21st day of December, when we will have that winter solstice, hike up to Green Castle Hill among the megaliths. Of course, we will be giving you more information on that as the time goes closer. If you know your Bible and you do not know your history, the knowledge of your Bible will become a mystery. Remember, tomorrow is Thursday. Join me tomorrow evening, 6 p.m. right here on Radio Anu, radioanu.com. Blessed love.